Hello, and everyone, and welcome to another session of the Mastermind Book Club. In this session, we shall be talking about a very important topic. There's a #1 toxicologist by the name of Dr. Yvonne Burkhart, and she has her own YouTube channel, Yvonne Burkhart. I will have it in the titles below if you want to look her up. Now, she is a former senior toxicologist in the flavor and fragrance industry. She is also the creator of the YouTube channel, Yvonne Burkhart, PhD, where she goes over a lot of concerns regarding fragrance, flavors, and toxicology in general. For this back and forth interview that we are going to have with each other here, I'd like to call on Reggie Hilliard to give his first impressions on what we heard on this audio. Reggie Hilliard.
Hello, everyone. So, yeah, as Dave spoke to, this doctor, she's very informed about some of the different issues and concerns that we have in society as it pertains to ingredients, if you will, in all the different products, whether it be foods, whether it be topicals, and the like. And also, like, it could be household products, whether it be conditioners and detergents, whether it could be shampoos, it could also be pots and pans that we use. So all of these things have potential cause for concern because they have chemicals that they're created from or ingredients or chemicals. And a lot of what happens with these different products is that ultimately, if you're applying them to your skin being one of the biggest organs, going through your skin, if you're spraying deodorants and other types of sprays into the air, you're sniffing that through your nose, which is going to your brain, and a lot of that stuff is staying in your brain, causing issues over time. When you're eating, cooking off of nonstick pots and pans and things of the nature that they say, we love the nonstick because it's easy to clean up, but you're scratching the surface and that's leaching or millions and even billions of chemicals into your body, ultimately that you're eating. And then there are other concerns with plastics, microplastics, things degrade, ultimately ending up in the human body and is causing a lot of health concerns or health issues. So it was a lot of what she covered. Even what she touched on, it was like, whoa, what she said men could have microplastics in their penis. I'm sure that would freak a lot of men out. But however, the thing is, partly just don't to be not to be so afraid, but work on reduction, work on how to set up your life a little bit differently, whereas you eat differently, you use certain products, there's different products, and even the clothing that you wear using like organic cotton over synthetics to lessen the effect as much as you can. And then there are other things as we've talked about in the past, fasting, which will help to just kind of annihilate a lot of the toxins that are in your body. So that's where I'll stop. But it's a very informative interview. She's very, she knows her stuff. It appears, and so she shares a lot throughout.
Thank you, Reggie Hilliard. Now I'd like to call on Chaz Comer.
Mm-hmm.
Chaz
Yeah.
Comer.
Hello, everyone. I'm just going to pick right up off of what Reggie was saying. He pretty much covered a lot of the interview, but they did talk about GMOs, and these are pesticides that they spray our foods with. You have to be really, really careful that even though the label may say non-GMOs, it still may have certain, I guess, chemicals that could really cause you problems. She also mentioned about the liver and the kidneys being your two main filters, and that how these chemicals taken over a period of time get trapped into your lymph node system. So, in other words, the fat, I guess, embroils the pesticides and chemicals in your body, and at a later time, you might have cancer and you don't know why what brought this on, but it could be the metals and the chemicals from the pots, the pans, the lotions. Even your shower water has different types of chemicals and metals. We taken a lot of medicals through exhaust and carbon, that even oil. Everything is made with petroleum, is made out of oil. You would be surprised from the glasses that I'm wearing to the computer, the screen and computer components that I'm looking at. Everything is toxic to us. And we as a people have to become more environmentally friendly because we're going to be our own self-demise through all of these poisons that we keep producing for ourselves. And it's amazing. They also talked at one point how in different countries, different things is allowed. In Europe, like some of the things we eat here would never be allowed to be, like potato chips or different types of snacks. These things are carcinogenic in other countries, which was interesting to me. But like I said, but back to Reggie's point, you have to really read the labels, look at what you're taking into your bodies, be mindful of the pots, the lotions, the perfumes. All this stuff soaks into your body, and a lot of it, ladies and gentlemen, is just no good for you. And we have to really, really become mindful if you want to, live to be an older age or have children or not get cancer. So it was very informative, and I'm gonna stop here. And I strongly advise that you check out what Doctor had to say.
So just gonna ask you guys a few questions. How many everyday products are toxic?
I think she said, I know it's more than 50%.
More like
There's a
80 to 90%.
yeah, it was a high number. I mean, from even
Even the air we breathe,
my little cup here, you drink out of cups and plastics is everywhere.
even the air we breathe.
Even the air we breathe. It's amazing how we stop looking after our environment and after people. And she said a lot of it is due to profits. People gouging, looking to make as much profit as possible.
Yes.
And at some point, when do we say enough's enough? When you have people born with what is that? The general diseases and deformities. This is from the foods and the environment that we're in, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
I yield
Uh,
to you, David.
So she mentions Dr. Yvonne Burkhart mentions many illnesses. So I'm just gonna go through a few, and feel free if you want to say something. If not, just stay quiet. She mentions fertility, how a lot of girls are now unable to have kids. You want to say anything in reference to that?
Yeah, girls and men are becoming impotent, like Reggie had mentioned. You know,
Well,
it was
so
really scary to find that a lot of men tested.
I was going to try and take women first and then go into
Okay,
men.
okay.
Fertility
well, you
with
put it
women.
together. I mean, the issue it's gonna come down to the fact of these poisons you're putting in your body, which are causing like disruption. Like she talked about, certain latex or the clothing you wear, which has glyphosate, glyphosate, which goes into the canal, down in inside of the vaginal canal, I guess is where we go with that. And then like it's warm down there and there's friction and you have these chemicals being you know, going into this environment, and because of that environment, the way and what's going on there, it causes those chemicals to be, to basically to be absorbed more readily into the body, and certainly causing disruption, as you talked about, infertility. Not to mention some other things, as was even mentioned, the cancer, and a host of other issues, which are
She was
often
talking about
denied.
Go ahead, man.
Hmm?
I was going to chime in and say how she was talking about how the people or kids are having early menstrual cycles, which means that they only have a certain time in their life to have children because they're starting their menstrual cycles too early. So when it's when it could be time for them to have babies, they've already exhausted the amount of cycles that they could have. And she mentioned tumors and different other things that the uterus failing, having to take out the uterus. She touched on a lot. It's a very informative documentary, definitely.
So we're talking about toxicology, and as Charles mentioned a little bit about puberty, and I want to see what you guys thought about that, as what Dr. Yvonne Burkhart said in reference to puberty in males. Any thoughts? If not, I can chime in. So
Yeah, go ahead,
Well,
chime in, Dave. Oh,
what I'll touch on as far as males is this incidence of lower reproduction, sperm count was, down 50%. So, you talk about purity. We also touched on infertility, just going back to that. I mean, just the lack of being able to produce sperm. And she says we haven't gotten to that point, but if we keep going down that path, we could end up, not even being able to produce people on this planet, right? So that's obviously a concern. You're infertile in that way.
and it's been proven with the actual baby count going down because there are less children than
well,
there
I mean,
before.
it's I could be wrong, but I believe one of the questions that I have for you guys is there malicious intent behind the government, inaction on toxins? Well, in reference to less and less babies, I mean, we know that we're considered to be overpopulated by the governments
Oh,
around the
that's
world,
definitely part of it.
by the elites or whoever you want to call it. So maybe this is just a way to get that going, to put a pause the brakes on. And it's hitting certain populations. We know that, but it's hitting populations that were not to be expected to be hit because we are gentrifying. And, first, many of us are seen, especially Latinos and Blacks, are seen to hit let's see, the Chinese food stores, the fast food, the McDonald's, the Burger Kings, and so on, those fast food chains. But now, whites are hitting those places, and Asians are hitting those places. So it's not just a target anymore. Now it's whoever wants to go to these places is being hit by a lot of these toxins, and toxins are found pretty much everywhere. Now, are there things that we can avoid for better health?
That's a
Oh,
question.
definitely, you can avoid a lot of the, uh, I guess, looking at the label. I love what Reggie says. If it has words you can't pronounce and it has a whole bunch of ingredients, it's probably not that good for you. And with the chemicals and
And
stuff
let's go
that huh?
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm saying with the chemicals and lotions and stuff you put on your body, make sure that they're all natural and not something you can't read. But go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, no, I would just add to that. The most you can do, or the bet we've touched on is, just even the books that we've read prior with the China study, as far as food that you eat, eating a much more whole diet, a whole live it, I like to call it, as much as you can. Vegetarian diet is most preferable, and then people we argue against that, but it's more live, so that definitely cannot be argued against. It's a higher vibration. And in general, if you're going to eat the other stuff, you want to eat stuff that's more like organic and grass fed and things of that nature, right? So as far as you buy products in the store, attempt to stay away from. So as I said, that with the whole food, you still want to stay away from processed as much as you can. If you're going to eat some of these other products, you want to go to as few ingredients as possible. Whether it be cereal, like I get cereal, it has 3 ingredients: corn, organic corn, organic cane sugar, and sea salt is like my cornflake. Just very minimal ingredients and not eating it as much. And I will always talk about fasting because when you're eating, just in general, it just helps to annihilate a lot of the garbage that's in your body and you feel a lot better. But there's so much to do, man. Like, the water is contaminated in some ways. Even just trying to filter it, you got to get the proper filter. A lot of stuff just becomes cost prohibitive for many people, but then you just see in general when people have lower levels of education and numbers and in terms of money, they just tend to eat and live a lot worse. Versus the more education and money you have, you'll tend to kind of go the route of doing things that are more beneficial to you, not in just in terms of the food you eat, but other things that you do in terms of you exercising habitually and doing just like other things that people label as self-help, which is a very silly term. It should just be life. We should all be ideally living a life where we're doing these things every day, but it gets wrapped up and commercialized as self-help, or even just going to the statement of like going to the store and there's the health food section, which happens to be only a small portion of the store. And then what does that make the rest of the food or the supermarket or whatever? If this section is the health food, what's the rest of the food or the products? The unhealthy food, unhealthy products, which
And
is the
that's the
majority of the
majority.
store.
Correct.
So
So
that should put it in perspective.
I just want to go over these few terms very quickly that are found in a lot of our products. And if it doesn't say it, it most probably, go ahead, Reggie.
No, I was gonna say real quick, and now they have banned as red number 3, right? Woohoo! Which they
Where?
banned and which they in the US is FDA's banning red number 3, which was banned on your face on topicals years ago, I think in the 90s, and now they're banning it in food. So they were okay with you, but they didn't want it on your skin, but they were okay with you consuming it all these
Well,
years.
my daughter's allergic to what are they? Doritos, the red Doritos.
Well, pretty much everyone's allergic or whatever, but they just maybe it's over time that the effects of it really will kick
So,
in.
an allergy is basically an inflammation, and it can be portrayed in many different ways, and it's most people are not going to figure that out. You know, there and are there ways to improve it? Yeah, I mean, Reggie mentioned it here. I mean, fasting is the number one way. Most people are afraid of fasting, and I suggest, I mean, it's not a marathon to fast, so you start out with trying to fast certain hours. Like I did an 18-hour intermittent fast today, and I could have gone further, but because I have a 31-mile race this Saturday, I can't afford to do a fast that quickly right now. If I would have started, 2 or 3 days ago, maybe Monday at the start of the week, I could have done longer. But fasting is one of the greatest ways to just put a halt on a lot of the nonsense we have in our bodies. But one of the things with microplastics is that when it goes to the brain, I think the brain doesn't know how to deal with it, according to this toxicologist, and
Yeah,
it just puts it aside. So you need to be able to do some types of exercise with your brain, and one of those is maybe ice cold therapy, maybe holding your breath, maybe the Wim Hof method or some other type of breathing methods. I have implied those since I mentioned it to you guys. I mean, they're really powerful. I've noticed a big difference in my marathon running, in my daily habits, and holding breath now is much easier because now I know what to do. I thought it was difficult, but you just got to keep practicing. It's the same thing. Now these are certain dangers of certain words that are found in labels or not. Paraben free is great. Phthalate free is great. Without perfume or fragrance is great. Why? Why? Well, paraben free and phthalate free are heavy causing chemicals that are found in a lot of the plastics and a lot of other products. Fragrance and perfume are the secret, I guess, recipes that a lot of the companies use and don't want to tell you what chemicals are packaged within their products, because that's their secret source to making their product. But in reality, they're hiding all these chemicals that causes more harm. So, there are perfumes that are more organic than not, and obviously they're more expensive. So again, as Charles and Reggie said, there some of them are cost prohibitive, but the reality is, think about it. Microplastics in your brain and they don't get out that easily. What do you do? Plastics in your testicles or in women's areas, private parts. What do you do? I mean, microplastics in women cause endometriosis. And that's one of the things that this toxicologist mentions. And this is a hidden danger. Plastic is everywhere. And if it's heated, like, you get with your cup of coffee at Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts. Try and leave some space between the plastic and, and the hot stuff. However, when you drink it, you could be drinking 25,000 particles of plastic chemicals. Me too. I've done it. You know, this is something that we need to stop. Now, are there cost-effective ways to do certain things, guys? Are there cost-effective ways? What do you think? Want me
To
to
do what
answer?
exactly?
So cost-effective ways is, avoiding some of these things. Yes, there are cost-effective ways. Number one is making a, a deodorant that is baking soda based, with water that you have, like we like to use distilled water, and some people like to use reverse osmosis water. Those are better waters, supposedly.
That causes the most wastewater though.
Sorry, the reverse osmosis supposedly causes the most waste, but I don't know.
We also talked about
But
I was
it's
gonna
not.
say about deodorant, the to help to reduce perspiration is taking like benzoate clay uh and um and apple cider vinegar, and you can make a paste and you put that under your arms and it helps draw out some of the metals or whatever it was, the chemicals and things that get trapped in your armpits, and then that could help you to reduce the perspiration that you're having. So that's another thing, because there are ways in which, like, if you just change what you're eating and do some of this, you will actually not stink or not smell as bad, because a lot of that is coming from the food we're eating. So if you get your body more in a less toxic way, then you'll see that your smell will change in a big way.
Now, this is the craziness about all these toxins that we're talking about is a lot of products target Black women, which supposedly, according to this interview that we heard on this toxicologist, contain more toxins.
So they're trying to kill people, sure, and
I mean,
unfortunately.
why? Well, I mean, these are questions that are not going to be easy to answer. All we can say is you're
Well,
going to have
some of
to.
this has to do with economics and who actual buyers and consumers.
Well,
So if
this
Well,
you
it
look at
comes to
certain
that, but
populations and
if you
certain income brackets, they're more consumers, and
anything that has a smell, like including your laundry detergent, your candles, your incense, these are dangerous products in
like
general.
the new
You can
secondhand
find
smoke.
safer ones. Sorry, say it.
It's like the new secondhand smoke, they say. Like
Yeah,
basically all
hmm
these chemicals being
there
put
are
out
hidden
into the
dangers in vaping as well, but I mean, I'm not going to go into deeper than that. I don't think we need to. The air quality, um, and you got to find ways to boost your antioxidants. Obviously, there are plenty of ways. People don't like to do it, but you can do a 2 to 3 month vegan. You can do 3 to 7 days fasting, whether it's intermittent or fully. It's great. You can do juicing. You can do a dry fast. There are many, many ways. Remember, if you ever have some type of cell that is malign, um, then a water fast would be good temporarily. But you need to find a doctor that you can do it with. And there are plenty out there. You just have to look for them. Integrative health is probably one of the best key word searches for finding a doctor. Integrative doctor is will help you get a proper blood sample, which now you can't get anymore. That when you go to your doctor, they don't give you a full blood sample, and so even the doctors don't know what's going on. And household toxins, I mean, they affect everything, including people's pets and so on. So, anything to say about that?
Well, one quick thing she mentioned was, if you can go to all natural shops or organic shops versus your big box stores and your commercial chain stores, you might be a little bit better off.
Yeah, she said that.
Got
That
it.
the chance of you getting a product that has maybe that is less adulterated, if you will, is going to be higher. Because a lot of stuff on these shelves, even like a Whole Foods that proposes that they're like giving you these better products, they also in cahoots with a lot of these. farms and stuff, and the products they're not as good as you may think, which is unfortunate.
And a
Got
lot of
it.
stuff they put in the food is to make the food last, but it's no
Yeah,
good for us.
Wow. Well, guys, this is any final words on this?
I mean, it was a good interview. And she, like, as we were talking about just before, I know things that she said. Sometimes people are a little afraid to say that, like, she's saying stuff, but she doesn't. She says it as like opinionish, which I know she knows or believes it to be more fact. Because when she was asked, she would say, "I would," like I said, she would say, I think," and I'm like, this is, this is not a think. But a lot of times, like, we want to give the truth, but we don't want to put ourselves out there to be sued or whatever by these conglomerates and such. Even though they're doing these bad, harmful things, they can find a way to, come back at you and make it as if you're the criminal, which is really sad. But anyway,
Got it. Got it.
Well, well,
Charles?
what I would end with is, 2025 should be the year of really your health and, looking at the labels. She said to make sure you don't just look at, I guess, the front of the package, but actually read the labels to see what you're actually putting into your body. So I'm saying let this year be a year that you're more mindful, that you look into fasting, that you look into kidney and liver cleansing, and just doing your body right.
Good. Good. Very good. Now, I'm gonna leave it with this. The biggest concern for me is most people are comfortable where they are and are afraid of change. And that is worrisome because if you're comfortable with your identity, even if it's unhealthy, I mean, you have a right to be that way. I mean, I don't have a right to take that away from you, but it's worrisome because more and more people are following that same exact pattern, and they're so comfortable that they don't want to change and they don't want to leave the foods that are making them more obese or sicker and so on. And I mean, the reality is you should have the right to choose. But do you know what's on the other side of fear? This is the
informative.
Mastermind Book Club. Thanking you for another session. I want to thank Reggie Hilliard and Chaz Comer. And I want to thank you for listening in. And I hope you learned something very important. Fear. Whatever's on the other side of fear. Why don't you research that by taking action? Take care.